Hi everybody, I'm Don Hinkle and I'm your host for Shelter Life. It's a great honor to be back bringing Shelter Life to everybody here in Access Sacramento and within Sacramento's community. Shelter Life's main focus is to put a spotlight on Front Street Animal Shelter, our city shelter right here in Sacramento. In the past 2 seasons, we've brought you the volunteers of Front Street, the behind the scenes look at what all happens at Front Street, and then we also brought you lots of collaborations. We had collaborations with Positive Impact. We had collaborations with all these organizations that actually help work with Front Street. It's been a lot of fun to bring all these stories to you, and this season we're bringing you a lot more. So sit back and relax. This is season 3 for Shelter Life. I'm Don Hinkle, and this is Shelter Life. Hey everybody, so we're kind of coming full circle tonight. When we had our very first show of Shelter Life, our very first guest was Gina Knepp. And I am so excited tonight because we've actually got Gina back in the chair right next to me. And we're gonna sit and catch up not only with Gina, but also about everything that's been happening at Front Street within the past, I guess, 4 years now. So Gina, welcome back to Shelter Life.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Lots has happened.
A lot has happened. We're going to catch up on a lot of stuff. I mean, Front Street has done so many things since you've been in charge, for sure, but just the growth of the shelter, the image of the shelter, the whole public perception of the shelter, not to mention the collaborations that you and the shelter are doing. I mean, it's pretty eye-opening. It's pretty, you should be proud, and I'm sure you are.
Incredibly proud.
About the accomplishments that you've made. So let's just step back to when we were on the set 4 years ago, t-shirt hanging as a prop. None of us knew what we were doing. How much has changed in those 4 years at Front Street?
Oh gosh, it's been a very dynamic evolution. Lots have changed. Lots has changed. Probably the biggest thing is our incredible relationship with the community, from private businesses, individual people that support us. The foster program, look at that, 4,500 animals a year placed into private homes. You know, a massive amount of things that we're doing that really people don't understand, that it's not just about the cats and dogs. I like to say it's about the other end of the leash.
Right.
You know, hopefully we can touch on some of the support we've given to the city's triage shelter, supporting people experiencing homelessness. Just so much to tell, and I don't know if we have enough time.
I know.
We might have to do part 2.
Exactly, right? Because you mentioned that to me tonight, and all of a sudden my ears perked up when I heard about the triage and the grant you were given to work with the homeless people and their animals. I mean, we might as well talk about it.
Well, let's start there.
Let's start there.
Absolutely. So when I came to Front Street, there was this woman, Lynn Madison. She's about this tall. She marches in and she says to me, "This is what you're going to do from now on for people experiencing homelessness and their pets." Because in the olden days, if a person living on the streets was incarcerated or hospitalized and their pet ended up with us, they didn't get them back typically. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of demanded that we would change our philosophy in how we help those people and their pets. So I said, okay. And from then on, we've been very benevolent when it comes to people that are not living in houses but still love their pets. You know, whether you think people experiencing homelessness should have pets or not, they're going to.
Right.
So what can we do to help them? You know, keep the healthiest animal, be safe. So about a year ago, the city opened the very first triage shelter up in the north area, housing 200 people. And they made it no barriers. So pets, property, everybody was welcome. And the city came to me and said, "Can you help?" So for the last year, we've been supporting, we've probably helped about 200 animals.
How did that work? I mean, were the animals allowed to stay with their owners?
Yes.
Wow.
So I don't know if you've ever been there before, but it is a giant warehouse with lots of bunk beds. And we thought we knew what we were doing in the beginning. We're gonna house all the dogs over here. Well, it didn't work out that way. The dog is with their person. We have crates for everybody. Most of the time they're sleeping in bed with their person. We've provided all the veterinary care, vaccines, preventatives, food. We even have a trainer that goes out on Fridays to try and help them, you know, have better manners, leash handling, you know, at the end of the day, it's about both ends of the leash. And that project and that work resulted in our getting a $100,000 grant from PetSmart Charities, which council just approved last week, so that we can continue doing this.
So is this going to be ongoing then, do you think?
Yes, I mean, the city shelter is going to close at the end of December. The next phase, I don't know what that looks like, but we have to address the homeless situation in Sacramento, and that means the pets too.
Right. I remember reading about it and just seeing the photos, and it was pretty heartwarming, because I know one of the things that's always been a passion with you is when the homeless people have actually come to Front Street and just said, I have to, if I'm going to go to this shelter, I can't take my dog. Will you guys at least hold him or take care of him? Right. And I know that really tugged at your heartstrings and your staff's heartstrings as well.
Of course it is.
Because you're like going, this is their family.
Right.
You know,
and you can see the animals bond with the person.
Right.
Regardless of their financial situation. Love is love.
And I think one of the ones that's touching, and you know, by the time this airs, the voting will be over, unfortunately, but Meaty.
Robert and Meaty.
The story of Robert and Meaty, which just blew my mind. And maybe you can tell people about that real briefly. But
well, so this man who adopted from us last year found himself homeless. He and his partner lost their place to live, and they were living in their car with their dog, and they couldn't get into any kind of shelter, get any support because of the dog. So he came back to us asking if we could find a foster home for his dog until they found a place to live. And he was just like the perfect face of what it's like, you or me. Right?
No, he looks
like
anybody you'd see walking down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
So we thought we would do a little video of him and appeal to get more foster families. And what happened was people just came out of the woodwork to donate. And a nice woman who owns a home in West Sacramento called me. So we got him a house. We got him first, last, security, and some extra money for some, you know, supplies and stuff. Well, we submitted his story recently to the Petco Foundation because it's a great story about community. And we won $50,000 because of Robert and Meaty. Just one single post that went viral.
So you just mentioned Petco Foundation, right? Mm-hmm. The amount of awards that Front Street has received and the amount of support that Petco Foundation has given Front Street, I mean, I don't know if there's other shelters in the country that are as lucky as Front Street to receive as much as, you know, from Petco as Front Street is. But tell me about your relationship with the Petco Foundation, because there's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on. First of all, people don't realize that the Petco Foundation is probably the number one or number two donor to shelters in the United States. So when you shop at Petco and they ask you, would you like to make a donation? Most people give $1 or $2. That ends up being $30 million a year that the Petco Foundation gives back to local shelters.
$30 million?
$30 million a year. Wow. And it really does come back to us. We have a great relationship with the Petco Foundation. We've earned every penny of our grants and awards, though, because we work very hard. They're looking for shelters that are trying to continuously improve, that engage their community. And we do a really, really good job at that. So I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, we've gotten several $1 million from the Petco Foundation.
But look what it's enabling you guys to do.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's the general fund, right? Taxpayers' dollars cover a certain amount, but it doesn't cover everything. And so we know that we have to fundraise, we have to write grants, and then we have to work and prove that we deserve that money and are doing something good with it. And I think we've not disappointed.
No, I don't think you're disappointed at all. And I think, you know, if people want to put a face on Front Street and associate it with the Petco Foundation or Petco, it's pretty simple, guys. If you haven't already been there, there's a satellite adoption center at the Petco on Arden Way, and it's been there for...
We're going on our third
third year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Third year.
Yeah, and we're either 1 or 2 in the nation for the number of adoptions we do out of that tiny little spot. Yeah, but it's a little shelter within the Petco store across the street from Arden Fair Mall.
I know when we filmed the opening of that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
It was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that were waiting in line, and I mean, you know.
Yeah, it was quite the party.
It was a big party.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, and if you don't have an exact, that's fine. How many animals have been adopted through the satellite?
Oh, we're doing about 1,200, 1,300 a year out of that little
That's great.
center. It's tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it.
No, it's tiny, but that's a tremendous amount of animals going through there.
Yeah.
So you touched briefly on it. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, just because I have some friends who volunteer at Front Street that do this with a deep passion. Let's talk about the foster program, because the foster program, I think, is one of those unsung heroes of success.
Yeah.
I really do.
I call it the backbone of the shelter. So in 2017, our volunteers gave us 106,000 hours of volunteer service. 60% of that total was foster hours. So we're talking about 4,500 animals being deployed into homes in our community. We only have so much space, right?
Right.
You know, the big impact are the underage kittens. They're too young to get adopted. Historically, they were just automatically euthanized. We don't want to do that anymore. So we need this army of people, and we have them.
No, you do.
We're always recruiting, who raise them for us. I mean, we buy the food and the medical care and give them their supplies, but they take them home and love them and grow them and get them ready for adoption into new homes.
I think it takes them out of the shelter environment, right?
Absolutely.
So whether it's a puppy or a neonatal kitten or an animal that might have special medical needs, you know, it's heartwarming because these people take them in, it gets them out of the shelter environment, which brings out that personality.
Right. Well, it makes space in the shelter because every day 35 to 55 animals are coming in the back door.
Yeah.
And if I don't have room at the inn, we're in trouble.
Right.
Right. Plus, it's healthier. I mean, as hard as we tried to maintain a very sanitary environment, it's not the best place for a puppy or a kitten.
Right.
Or a healing animal.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, medical facility, very proud you got that.
We
under
did.
The,
We
under
built
the Gina
that.
Knepp watch that was built, right?
That was a miracle.
But I think what a lot of people don't know is that the equipment inside there was actually raised through fundraisers like Pause the Party. And
Beer
things like that.
gardens.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we have this lovely 30 by 50 medical building that we never thought we'd have because it was a portable unit. I don't know if you remember, a trailer.
Yeah.
But everything in it, except for the phones and the computers, was not paid for by taxpayer dollars or city funds. We raised money for all of it. You know, blood work, ultrasound, dental equipment, surgical light, everything. It's probably got, right now, probably $180,000 worth of equipment in it. We also got digital x-ray.
That's great.
A couple years ago.
Right.
That's a big deal. So,
I mean, if you think of the advancements that have happened in that little old city shelter since you walked in on your first day, you've got to be proud.
oh, I'm super proud. Don't get me wrong.
know?
But I always say that I just drive the bus, Dawn.
Yes, you do.
Right? I don't do all that work. I just, come on, let's go.
Yeah, but it takes a leader to actually get that team on board and help them go with you.
But leadership is just showing people what they're capable of and then letting them do it.
Right.
You know, and it feels so much better now than it did before.
Well, the atmosphere is different, you know.
Very.
A
Yeah,
lot of
we're
peop-
urban hipsters.
You know, a lot of people didn't want to go to a shelter because they thought it was a sad
Yeah.
place to be. And Front Street's not sad. You walk in there, the greeters are happy, they're smiling. The staff is happy, they're smiling.
Yeah.
You feel it. I mean,
The energy is really high.
You do.
The
I
energy's
mean,
good.
you know, I've been to SPCA. That energy is not there, and there's no dig to the SPCA, but it's
Different cultures.
totally different culture.
environments.
But you guys have taken what you have to work with and made it the best it can be.
Right.
You really have.
know.
I mean, the Agility Park, right? That used to just be vacant land.
Completely donated by a volunteer.
Right.
The whole project.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that have happened that I think are just absolutely incredible. So, Gina is not one to take a lot of credit personally, right? And that to me is the sign of a very humble woman. But this table is full of quite a few awards that have Gina's name on it, and she'll be the first to admit that these aren't for me, these are for the team, and I think that's great. But I think it's really important that we try and maybe pick out a couple of them. I might be partial to one. I think it might be the tallest one on the table here. But for those of you that don't know, Access Sacramento, which is obviously the home to where we filmed this show, honored Gina this year with what we call the Power of Voice Award. And the Power of Voice Award is actually given to an individual within the community who speaks for those who cannot speak for themselves. And obviously, Gina and her team speak for all of our four-legged friends, and sometimes two-legged friends too.
Sometimes.
And sometimes very interesting
Three-legged.
creatures,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But we had a big event for her, and we honored her with that. And I think we actually might have some pictures of that as well that we might be able to show, just a couple of them of it. So, well, there we go, right on the monitor over there. Definitely some puppies. And I think that would be the actual kittens that are going on. Not kittens, they're definitely puppies. Oh,
There's my daughter.
Yeah. So Ruby flew in for that award, didn't she?
She did. She flew in all the way from New Mexico.
Yeah. So that was incredible. Actually, the place was fun. And then that's you on the television show Livewire. And who is that with you? It looks like
Peggy and Judy and Bobby and my boss Ryan DeVore.
I bet Ryan was proud that night of you.
I think so.
Yeah, I bet he was too.
I can't remember it. I just cried so hard.
It was a fun night.
It was great.
We actually held it in the Clooney Center at McKinley Park, and that's a picture of basically the setup that we had for you for that night, which was a lot of fun.
It's a great night.
And let's see, I think that's Gary Martin up there.
Oh, there's you.
There I am, and I think I was pointing at you, saying something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but
it was poignant. Whatever it was poignant.
But it was a lot of fun, and then I think there we are.
Oh, there I am, looking like an opera singer.
There
you guys always catch me in those bad shots.
There you are, accepting the award with great graciousness. I will say that. So you've got all these other ones too.
Well, the shelter's done really well, but this is, you know what we call this? No. A major award, like from the Christmas Story. That's what we call it at home. This is Petco Foundation. Super heavy. We got this in May for the innovation grant. They gave us $250,000 to work on a project to increase the number of animals that actually go home with their owners, reunited.
So tell us about that.
That's a whole other TV show.
Yeah, I bet it is.
But it's a texting program. So if you lost your pet, you would text 555-888 and write in the word stray. And we will begin to help you and give you tools on how to find your pet. Where do you need to look? What do you need to do? There's video tutorials. A lot of people have no idea. What am I supposed to do when my cat goes missing? Where should I start to look for my dog? So the funding from this grant will help us roll this program out, and the goal being it could be replicated anywhere in the country. So stay tuned on that. We're about to launch.
So it's not like Finding Rover. It's a step. Is it simplified?
Finding Rover is a piece of this program.
Okay.
But you're going to get a text that says, "Okay, don't give up, Dawn. Look here. Do this. Register for Finding Rover. Don't forget about Craigslist. This is what dog and lost cat signs should look like. Here's a video that walks you through the steps." A lot of people will find a pet and they don't immediately take it to the shelter, right? Because they don't want to.
Right.
So, but the owner keeps coming, right? And then they give up. And then 2 weeks later, the animal shows up. So you can unenroll anytime you want, but we're hoping that it's going to be a game changer. Nextdoor, we don't even touching on that.
Right.
We're probably the only shelter in the country right now that's using Nextdoor the way we use it, to post every stray dog to the appropriate neighborhood every single day. And we've seen a real increase in people getting their animals back. Reducing the length of stay, the amount of time they spend with us saves money.
Right.
It's better for the animal, certainly better for the person, right? And it makes room at the shelter. So again, that's another TV show.
Wow.
Yeah, cool stuff though.
It really is.
Like this is a big deal. It's a Capio Award, and we got that for actually first place. It's the California Association of Public Information Officials, city, county, and state agencies competing to see who's got the best marketing campaign. Well, we did. No budget. We don't have a marketing budget. We do it all in-house. Free editing software, free music. It's all janky, but we won first place. Jaws dropped when we won that one.
I bet.
And it was quite the campaign.
So was that up against like major marketing firms too?
It was against state agencies, or state, county, and city agencies in the state that have budgets. Solid waste has a multi-million-dollar budget, right, for recycling and stuff, and we got zero. So the fact that we won first place in the state, that's a big deal. At least to us it is.
We should probably touch real quickly, but then I want to go back to this one. But let's talk about your marketing, right? Because how many, over 100,000 followers on Facebook?
I think we're at like 179,000. Organic. I won't give Zuckerberg a penny.
Right.
We don't boost our posts. But we don't have a marketing budget. But I think we're a really good example, especially for other municipal agencies, that it can be done. You just need creative energy in-house, and you have to pay attention to social media.
Right.
Whether it's Facebook and Instagram, and we dabble in all of it. But when the media calls, answer the phone. We have so many stories to tell. Don't be afraid to tell them.
I love it when you said when you received the Power Voice Award, you were talking about when the media calls, we pick up
every time.
And when we call them, they want to do the show. They want to do the story.
Absolutely.
That's a relationship that obviously you guys have made
Right.
and
You have to
developed
cultivate it.
and really worked on it. Because you're right, if anything major happens, at Front Street, or even if it's somewhat associated with an animal,
They call us first.
you're the go-to.
Right.
You're the go-to.
And we pick up the phone. I
Right.
mean, they come to my house.
Yeah.
Ask my husband. 8 o'clock at night, they're showing up. They've done it in my house. I mean,
Oh
it's
my gosh.
crazy. But the media is probably one of the best allies we have. Look at you, telling our stories.
Right.
Right? You're media.
Yeah.
And it's important. They're our friends, not our foes.
Well, you're right. And as long as they get the real truth out there and they show both sides, I think it's important to do that. But look at these. All right, so this one, I was blown away by.
This one is kind of like a big deal to me.
So this is from the city of Los Angeles. So
Yeah.
explain this one, Gina.
So on October 6th, I got to go down to Beverly Hills. It was very swanky. And the Michelson Foundation, which is a microchip company, there was this big dinner. It was swanky. But anyway, I got this while I was there from the city of Los Angeles, congratulating me on the Michelson Leadership in Animal Welfare Award. And it's like a official thing from LA
No, I mean,
saying
it's
good
like
job.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
I think it's really cool.
I do too.
And I think it's cool that the city of Los Angeles acknowledged you.
Right. In their town.
Right.
Right.
And you're from Sacramento.
Right. It was, it's real too, because it's real. I was pretty blown away.
That is
I was
pretty-
not
pretty
expecting
cool.
that. Yeah.
So the Michelson Found Animals Foundation, touch on that just real briefly.
So there's a man named Dr. Michelson. He's a surgeon, renowned across the world. He has more patents for like hardware that they put in people's backs that have back surgery.
Okay.
Anyways, Dr. Michelson has this huge affinity for animals. So he launched the Michelson Foundation, and Found Animals is the microchip that we actually give to people or use at our shelter.
Okay.
And that's his foundation. It's a not-for-profit. It's the best microchip in the world, in my opinion. But every year, I guess, they recognize someone in animal welfare. Last year, they recognized Senator Cory Booker. So I followed Cory Booker.
Wow.
Right? So he has one of these, and I have one of these. Is that cool or what?
That is cool.
But it is not just mine. My name's not on there. It's for the shelter and the work that we do in our community. We're quite progressive when it comes to our what we're doing with microchips. If you lose your pet and you come and get your pet from us, we say, hey, Don, would you like a free chip?
Well, I can tell you that when
You know what?
when my little one got lost, and I freaked out quite immensely, actually. And I went down and did the typical, filled out the lost dog thing, and it was so cool because I got a phone call, and it was, I forget the guy's name at the front counter, but he goes, Don, he's here.
Yeah.
And it was like the shelter had been closed for 40 minutes, so I thought I was gonna like really
Wait.
be freaking out for a night.
Yeah.
He goes, no, he's here.
Yeah, come
And
get
sure
him.
enough, they stayed and they waited, and I was like extremely grateful.
Anything
And
we
it's
can do to get our pet back
and
home.
It's all because it was all because of the microchip.
Right.
Because by that time the ID collar, the ID tag had fallen off.
Yeah.
So they do work, folks. So if you don't have a microchip on your animal, come on down to Front Street. I think you can get them for about $5, I think.
$5,
So,
but but if you renew your license, we'll give you a free rabies and a free microchip
Right.
with lifetime registration. I mean, we incentivize as much as we can. The whole goal is keep animals out of the shelter.
Oh, exactly.
And at home where they belong.
Exactly.
Right.
So what's on the forefront? What's coming up within Front Street? What do you see in the immediate future here?
Well, I mean, the biggest focus for us is increasing the return to owner rate. How do we get pets home? We just automated, so you know how we had those big binders in the lobby and people would fill out, I lost a dog or I found a dog, all those forms. Those are all gone now. And it's all online. So if you found a dog and decided to hold on to it instead of bringing it to us, you'd fill out the form and that pet shows up on our website.
Wow.
So that the owner who's looking can be reunited with you. It's
Got
pretty
it.
sweet.
That's really incredible.
Very incredible.
So if somebody's not computer literate at home, can they actually come and
Yes.
do it at the shelter?
And yes,
That's
we have
great.
a kiosk or we'll do it for them. Yeah, and we've had some really cool success stories in getting pets back home that never had to come to us, but we were just the facilitators in the process. So it increases the community trust.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I can't keep up with what we're doing.
I mean, it's amazing how many innovative things you guys are doing, continuing to do.
You have to.
Because as you say, there has to be a constant challenge, right?
Right.
You said something that your father had told you when you were a girl. Always, what was it? Always.
You always have to have something to chase.
Be hungry.
Oh, yeah, be hungry.
Right.
He always said you had to be hungry. And Matthew McConaughey said you always have to have something to chase.
Right.
So
Because it sounds like
boring
you guys
otherwise.
you're constantly doing that,
Right.
and it's always fun to kind of step back and look at everything that Front Street's accomplished. I mean, you know, the fundraisers are phenomenal events.
Oh, they're fun.
Great turnouts.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Positive Party was a blast this year. Brewfest was insane.
Stay tuned.
You know,
Brewfest is happening again in
you know,
June.
I mean, you cuddle the community.
Well, they cuddle us.
Right, but you cuddle back.
Yeah. Oh,
You
absolutely.
cuddle back. And I think that's what's so touching to me is that they've embraced you, but you've embraced them even more.
Right. It's about relationships
You know,
and friendships.
and so many more organizations could do such better if they would just take a small hint from what Front Street does sometimes.
Thank you.
You know, it's a credit to you. It's a credit to your team. You know, and yeah, Shelter Life's a small little part of the Front Street team, but you know what? It's a great team to be on.
Yep.
It's a phenomenal team to be on.
We're glad we're on your team too.
You know, because it's fun to represent an organization that does a phenomenal job. Because ultimately, the main goal is to do what? Save more lives.
That's right.
Right? Gina, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being on the show.
We need to do this again.
There's so much more to talk about. A half hour is never enough. It never really is. It never really is. So
thanks for telling our stories.
my blessing to you.
Thank you.
And to the team, obviously. Thanks for coming back and kicking off season 3. Appreciate it very much.
Can't wait to see what's coming.
I know. Hey, everybody. So anyway, this was Gina Knepp. Great conversation, great interview. Season 3 is right here. I want to thank my staff and my crew, both from Front Street and from Access Sacramento. Until next time, I'm Don Hinkle, and this is Shelter Life.